welcome back if you are coming back, I suppose. If not, then hi, pleased to meet you. This video is going to be a kind of revisited video. I made a video on The Ordinary and DICM. Oh god, must be about 2 and a bit years ago. I want to say I first purchased The Ordinary about 2.5 years ago, roughly. I'm revisiting this because when I made the video, I'd maybe been using the products, I want to say 4 to 6 months at that point. I've now been using them for so long that I feel I have much more of a basis to give you advice on, and also I want to go into the ins and outs of the company as they have grown and what products they now have and what I have tried and maybe not liked and what I would try and leave and what I went back to over and over again. It is very well known that The Ordinary's CEO, was his name Brad or something like that? God, that's terrible, I've forgotten his name. But that he unfortunately ended his life. It was quite a sad state of affairs. I think it was quite apparent to all the world on social media, watched his meltdown happen on Instagram, which became very uncomfortable for the company, even though he was the people who set it all up and he was the founder of the brand. It was quite uncomfortable to watch, and the DICM umbrella actually let him go as CEO. And I'm amazed that, not amazed, that's not the right thing to say, but I'm quite surprised that it has not stopped the success of the brand The Ordinary or DICM as a whole. I think that just goes to show how exceptional some of these products are and that they speak for themselves, out with, you know, the marketing and the selling and all that kind of stuff. I think people have consistently went back to them regardless of any of the issues and problems that the company has had, and unfortunately to which the sad ending of Brandon's life occurred. I think initially I'd said it was a possibility that he had ended his own life, but actually when I had to look up his name there, it doesn't say that, so I just want to clarify that. It's never actually been found out exactly how the incident occurred. But I don't want to get too much into that and dwell on that. I want to talk about the products, I want to talk about why I love the brand, and some bits that I would miss on. So let's get started because this is going to be long. Grab yourself a cup of tea, grab yourself a juice, whatever you need, maybe a pint if you want, and let's get into it. Okay, so I have wrote quite a bit of notes on this. So I'm going to get into sections: acids, hydrators, peptides, retinols and retinoids, and kind of other molecules that they do, cleansers as well. We'll cover everything. I have tried pretty much something out of each of these sections. I'm going to start with acids because acids are something that people are always a little bit dubious about. People are always a little bit worried about starting to use, and I think people worry about using them with other things as well. Now, as I go through this, I will be putting in little bits where it tells you how big the item is and what the price is, because I feel like if I get into that as well, this is really going to be eked out into like an 1.5 hour long bloody video. So let's get started with the glycolic toning solution, the 7% glycolic acid toner. This is the one that I always liken to the Pixie Glow Tonic. I think at the end of the day, you get more for your money. This is bigger than the Pixie Glow Tonic and it is much, much cheaper. And it does the same job. It's made from Tasmanian pepperberry, which also their lactic acid and their peeling solution is made out of as well. Basically, this is to help exfoliation. You're supposed to use it at night, once a day. If you felt you had more irritation, you could wean it down, maybe just work your way up to the once a day. I think it works wonderfully. I think it leaves your skin nice and fresh and clean and glowing. I have to say I use mine in the morning. It does advise that you use it at night. But when I come out of my shower, I've cleansed my skin, that is the first step that I take. The very, very first step that I take. I don't know how that really, you know, you're not meant to use certain acids with other things. Peptides and acids shouldn't really be mixed together. But I use this. I then use a buffer, like a spray. I then use a nice hydrating kind of essence. Then I go on to use any other serums and balms and moisturisers and what have you. So I don't know, maybe in the long term, I'll be like, Jesus, what have I done to my skin? But at the moment, it doesn't seem to affect me, and I always use this in the morning, although it is directed to be used at night. As I mentioned briefly, the lactic acid is something that I use routinely as well. Now this is to be used PM. I do not use this every single night. The ordinary do not state whether you can use this daily or if you should use it once or twice a week, but what they do say is build up a tolerance to it. So if you start using this and there's a lot of irritation, bring it back down. Don't use it every day. Just build it up when you're ready. The reason that I don't use it every single day is because I have other products that I like to use at night. So I will kind of put on a cycle. I'll use lactic acid one night, I'll slip in something the next night, the following night might be something different, or maybe I'll go back to the lactic acid. So what exactly does lactic acid do? It is an AHA, that is an alpha hydroxy acid, which helps promote collagen. Now I'm going to look at my notes here because I don't know this off the top of my head. Promotes collagen and blood flow, corrects discoloration and scarring, anything like melasma, if you have any kind of age spots, stuff like that. It should improve the appearance of lines and wrinkles, prevent acne and breakouts, and brighten your complexion. That is what AHA acids claim to do. So I use the 10% one, and it has hyaluronic acid in it as well. I used to use the 5% one. They have two strengths, and I've worked my way up to the 10% now, and I love it, and I will continue to use it as a kind of exfoliation, chemical exfoliation, as opposed to a physical one. I don't do physical exfoliation quite as often as I used to. Sometimes if I'm doing a mask, they will have little scrubbies in it, and I will use it that way, but 9 times out of 10 now, my exfoliation is a chemical one. Which takes me on to their AHA, BHA peel solution. Now this is 30% AHA and 2% BHA. That is beta hydroxy acid. Now this is a 10-minute exfoliating facial, which you should only use kind of maybe once or twice a week. I use it less often than that. I use it maybe once every 1 to 2 weeks. I do not use it religiously weekly. Sometimes I can go 3 weeks using it. Sometimes I just feel like my skin needs a little treat. I need to really strip the skin. It needs a good scrub, and so basically you don't scrub anymore. I use this instead, and I think this is wonderful for the price. I think it is well worth it. It is a dupe for Drunk Elephants, is it the Secura baby facial or something like that, and I think this blows it out the water simply because the price of it and how much you get and how long it lasts. Now BHA acids go slightly deeper into the pores. They are able to clear out the pores a little better. They remove more dead skin and kind of sebum and stuff like that. BHA, another one that I could use an example of, is a salicylic acid. Now a lot of people use salicylic acid who have acne and blemishes and blemish prone skin. I personally cannot use salicylic acid. I have tried to use salicylic acid, and as soon as I used it, my skin came out in a real rash. I used to use, was it a like gel toner type thing from Garnier? It had salicylic acid in it. I was using that on my face for maybe 2 or 3 days, and before I knew it, I had like those tiny little water blisters just everywhere, all over my face, and it was so itchy. And as soon as I stopped using it, then my skin totally dried out, and it was so flaky and dry and itchy and horrible. So I personally cannot use salicylic acid. I don't feel my skin necessarily needs it. I do get blemishes, but I don't necessarily use them on blemishes that often. I just try and let them do what they need to do and move along. In saying this, The Ordinary do supply a salicylic acid as well, and they also do a salicylic mask, which maybe I would be inclined to try that, just like on an area where I think it's getting particularly nasty. I would maybe try the mask, but I don't want to purchase the mask just for that reason, in case it doesn't work. And finally, in acids, I have tried the alpha lipoic acid, which I hope I'm saying that right. Alpha lipoic, I'm not sure. There's not a pH in it, so maybe I'm saying that wrong. This is 5%, and it's a concentrated serum to brighten and target age, signs of age, Alanna. This is not recommended for daily use. This is used like twice, maybe 3 times a week, and you use 1 to 2 drops on your skin, and then I would say this is kind of like an oil. Can I show you? It's obviously in one of the dark bottles, and that's because these items are susceptible to sunlight. Now mine, I think, has went bad, and I will tell you why in a minute. So I think mine has actually separated and went bad, which is fine because I've owned this for a long time. Basically I used this and a similar situation to the salicylic acid happened on my skin. The first couple of times I used it, it was absolutely fine. But then I used it maybe like, you know, months passed or a month passed or something, and I thought, oh, I'm going to use that again because it's a nice exfoliating treatment, so to speak, as opposed to one that I would use every other day. And my skin did not like it. My skin just flared up, didn't agree with it, and I never used it since. So actually I probably got maybe 2/3 of a bottle left, and the reason it's went bad is because I've not used it. So this actually probably just has to go in the bin now. That's not to say that it's a bad product, it just didn't work for my skin. This is an antioxidant and it's seen to help glow. The way that vitamin C would help glow as well, but it is much stronger than vitamin C. It's like a more concentrated version. And I do use vitamin C on my skin and it's fine, but this just didn't agree with me. Again, not saying that means it's a bad product, it just means it didn't work for me. Alright, let's move on to hydrators and oils. Now, I do not actually have with me any of the two products that I'm about to speak about, but I have used both of them before and purchased them from The Ordinary. So the first one is the 100% organic cold press rose hip seed oil. It's quite a long name, sorry. And basically this is like, you know, rose hip seeds pressed, not with any heat in them, and it produces an oil. And basically oils in your skincare, you either like them or you don't. I am not a massive fan of them. People love them, people swear by them. I personally am a bit on the fence about it, and I do have dry skin, so you would think it would go hand in hand, that I would like them, but I don't know. The rosehip oil that I'm speaking about was very nice. It was, you know, a little goes a long way. And the first few times I used it, I thought, God, this is greasy, this isn't for me. But when I started using a little bit less each time, maybe I use it every other night instead of every single night, I did enjoy it. It smelled quite nice. The rose hip came through in the scent, but also I think a real smell of oil came through. Now, that might be a bit obvious, but I mean, like, when you lift up your sunflower oil and you were to sniff it in the bottle, it's not that dissimilar. So I wouldn't say it was an amazing scent, but that's the whole thing about The Ordinary. It's basic ingredients, basic products, and that's why they are so affordable. There's no special scents or special textures added into these products, and that's why they are so affordable. So you have to bear that in mind as well. Now, the oil, it said you would use it once a day, ideally nighttime, which is when I did use it, and you would use it after, sorry, not prior to, that's the wrong way of saying it. You would use your waters or serums first. So anything that's like a water base or a serum or anything like that first. I would tend to say you could also then use a moisturiser and then the oil if you want it to be super intense about it. But then the oil is basically going to go on the top and lock in whatever treatment or whatever serum you've put on afterwards. So that, I think, is the kind of sense behind that. Now let's speak about hyaluronic acid. It's one of the most buzzword type treatments. Hyaluronic acid is in bloody everything now, isn't it? So what is it? Now, essentially hyaluronic acid is a molecule that can hold something like 1,000 times its weight in water. So for like every, I'm not saying a drop, let's just use a drop though, because I'm not a scientist and I don't know if it's parts per million or anything like that, but let's say for every drop of hyaluronic acid, 1,000 drops of water, it can hold that in its weight. It's very strange how it works, but essentially it's down to osmosis. So hyaluronic acid is not something, I think it's very like misinterpreted at times. So I think people think hyaluronic acid, you put it on and it puts moisture into your face. That's not essentially what it does. It is a molecule that holds water. So if you're in a climate where it's very arid and dry outside, the way osmosis works, if anybody done some basic biology, you know, standard grade biology or GCSE biology, osmosis means that water moves from areas of high water to low water. So they'll move in your cells. If there's lots of water in this cell and it's getting all packed up, the water will move from that cell into the cell that's a little bit dehydrated. And that's the way osmosis works. It goes from high to low. it can't really go the other way, if I can remember rightly from my kind of higher biology years. And I'm a nurse, so I would bloody hope I have some clue of osmosis. But it can't move the other way. I'm absolutely certain it can't move the other way. So what hyaluronic acid does, it sits on your skin and should hold water in the right places topically, on top of your skin. Hyaluronic acid molecules are too big to penetrate the skin. Some of them. So I think it's quite difficult. I think lots of people see hyaluronic acid and things, they're like, oh great, that's a hydrator, great. I do it myself, but it depends on the makeup, it depends on the product, and whether or not the molecules are small enough to actually penetrate the skin. Now, the hyaluronic acid from The Ordinary, they have 2% with vitamin B5, and some of the molecules in that are there to help penetrate the skin, but some of them don't. And they say that on the site, you know, this is basically a topical treatment. And as I was saying earlier, if you're in a dry, arid place, that's actually going to draw moisture out of your skin and sit on top of your skin. It's going to draw the moisture out, because if you've got moisture in your skin and it's dry outside and you're in an arid temperature, then what's going to happen? Osmosis goes from high to low. So you really have to think about that. I live in Scotland and it's constantly wet outside, so I am in the most wonderful place on the planet to try and soak some moisture into my skin. It also remains to be seen whether or not topical hyaluronic acids actually are doing what they say. And I think The Ordinary are very, very plain speaking about this, and quite upfront about the fact that these are the molecules in it, these ones will penetrate the skin, and this is how it works, but they're not promising any miracles. I think a lot of other brands who are charging a lot more money are promising things that just may not work. The other thing to think about as well is if you're getting fillers, whether it's lip fillers, cheek filler, wherever it is, a lot of the time they use hyaluronic acid, and lots of dermatologists or aesthetics people will tell you that unless hyaluronic acid is going under the skin, into the cells, you know, under your tissues, then it isn't going to actually do what it can do. Not what it claims to do, it can do that, but unless it is actually getting into the skin cells and underneath your skin, then it's not going to work. Now, The Ordinary's hyaluronic acid, again, says you can use it AM or PM, but you have to use it before any other creams or oils, so it would be your first step serum if you wanted to use it. Now, personally, I used the hyaluronic acid twice, I think I bought it, and even after the first bottle that I bought, I thought, what is this doing? Like, I feel like it's like another step in my skincare that it's just another layer that I might not need. So now that I use products that already have hyaluronic acid in them, I don't use the sole bottle. I'll put a little picture up here somewhere of hyaluronic acid from The Ordinary, because I just feel like it's another step that I don't really have to take. I think there are pros and cons to hyaluronic acid. I think knowing about it is a lot better, just so you're not duped into thinking, right, this is going to cause loads of hydration and plump up my face, because it's not always the way it works. So just something to think about. Now we're going to move on to peptides. Now, peptides, I am not a microbiologist, a scientist, all of these other things. I have some higher sciences, but I am not by any means like some sort of super duper chemical equation master. I am purely speaking from a very novice knowledge of chemistry and biology and understanding of skincare products. This is purely, like, please do not take this as sole word. Go and read up yourself about these things. That's what I done, and because of the mediocre knowledge I do have about biology and chemistry, I kind of understood what this meant. So if I explain this, and anybody who's like super buff on this stuff and I'd say it wrong, please don't have a go at me. I think in layman's terms, this is how I would explain it. So peptides are short chains of amino acids. Now, if I can remember rightly from biology, like your DNA chain and things like that are actually made up from, well, DNA stands for, is it deoxyribonolic? I can't say it now. See, if I was back in like higher biology, I'd be able to rhyme that off, no problem, but I can't remember how to pronounce it now. So it's deoxyribonolic acid or something. That's terrible, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna Google that before I keep saying it. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Oh, anyway, so these chains are called nucleotides. Like they're made up like of nucleotides, which are made up from different building blocks like anidine and is it cytosine? I can't remember. There are 4 building blocks that are made up in your DNA, and they form nucleotides, and the nucleotides are like long chains of things. And basically, amino acids are coded from these 4 things that the nucleotides are made of. These nucleotides. I hope that's, it doesn't sound very straightforward at all, does it? But basically what I'm saying is that amino acids are in your body anyway. They are things that you need in your body basically to keep your body going. Like, I know that sounds really ridiculous and very layman's, but your body is made up of amino acids. That's why we're told to eat them. That's why we're told to have like oily fish and things like that, omega-3, blah, blah, blah. And it helps to rejuvenate and maintain smooth skin and kind of try and stop any kind of lines and wrinkles, and it is also going to help with hydrating. It is something that you need in your body, not only for skincare, but also just to keep your body going. Amino acids are quite important. So, in short, it makes sense that you should have peptides in your skincare to help with the kind of build up and growth again of fresh new skin and keep collagen going, keep all these things going. The 2 that I use from The Ordinary are the Buffet and Matrixyl 10%. Now, the Buffet was the first one that I tried, and the Buffet, given the name, was actually meant to be some kind of joke spin, because there are so many big companies who are claiming that their products, they're really, really high-end, very expensive products, do all of these things, and it's like a buffet. Like, you go to the buffet and you can get a bit of everything. And The Ordinary decided they would try and play a spin on that and say, well, actually, here's something with lots of different peptides in it, and it's really, really good for your skin, because you should have amino acids and all this kind of stuff for your skin. I've read up into it further, and so the Buffet comes in at about £12, and Matrixyl comes in about £9, I think. And the Buffet is made up with Matrixyl, like part of Matrixyl. Now, Matrixyl is something that is like a trademark name from a French company in France somewhere, and it's basically just a peptide. So I thought, why am I paying £12 for the Buffet when I could pay £9 for Matrixyl when Matrixyl is already in the Buffet? Now, it's completely your preference. I still have both, and I will continue to use both, and maybe every now and again I'll pick up the Buffet and think, oh, I want a little bit more of a treat, fine. So I do have both. I say I would probably use Matrixyl more often. I use it in the morning. I don't use the Buffet and Matrixyl at the same time. I will have one bottle open and I will use that bottle, and then I would maybe go into the other one. I just go between them, it depends. I use a whole bottle of Matrixyl, I use a whole bottle of the Buffet. Once that's finished, I move back. You get the point. Basically, I use it in the morning. I come out, as I said, come out my shower, cleanse my skin. I've used my glycolic toner. I then use my buffer, like my essence, whatever, my skin thing. I let my skin sit and kind of just soak all that in for 5-10 minutes. Then I will go in with serums and stuff like that, and that's when I will put on the Matrixyl or something else that I'm going to speak about in this video. So therefore, like, they do not advise that you use peptides and acids together. The Ordinary do not advise that. I'm saying that's what I do, and so far it hasn't really, I've not noticed any change, and I'm quite happy with my skin at the moment. So that is personal preference, and it's completely up to you, just so you know. Okay, let's move on to retinoids and retinols. 2 different things, not 4, 2. Basically, when I very first tried The Ordinary, I tried the Gran Active retinoid. Is it 2%? Yeah, 2% in emulsion. Now, I still have a box of the 2% in emulsion unopened. It's the very first one that I tried. I think it used to be called something else, but I used that, and I use it at night, and it's one of these things. A retinol or a retinoid needs to be built up. You will find that you might get some irritation and what have you from these products, so it's not something you should just dive into using every single night. Now, retinols are there, and they are one of the only kind of skincare products or products that people use for skincare that actually has some scientific backing to show that it works and reduces some signs of aging, such as dull skin, fine lines, things like that. It's the only one. All the rest are all a little bit dubious, and the science behind them is all a little bit theoretical. But I think retinol actually has some backing to say this works. That's why you can buy prescription retinol. That's why you can get prescription retinol from doctors, and I think you can freely buy it over the counter in other countries. But in the UK at the moment, you can't buy high strength retinols, which some people would claim are the only ones that really work. It's up to you. Over the counter. It has to be, I've got a hair in my nose, sorry. It would have to be a prescription one here in the UK. Now, retinols are renowned for causing irritation, peeling, all of these other things until you build up your tolerance. I am not an expert in retinols. Go and watch Caroline Hirons. She is the absolute expert, and she's done a really long video on retinols, and you know, she has much more clue than me. Go and see her blog, go and read about it. But what The Ordinary have done is made something called a retinoid, and that is what this is, in emulsion or in squalene. So retinoids are from, is it retinoic acid? It's like a derivative of it, so it is the same as what retinol is made of, but it is made in such a way that it should not cause as much irritation or as bad irritation as a retinol you know will do. Also, they've made them in such a way that they should manage to penetrate the skin but not as harshly. I think that's why the original one that I chose was in the emulsion, but they now also have one in squalene, and the squalene has 2 different percents, so you can have 2% or 5% in the squalene, but you can only have 2% in the emulsion. Now, I have tried all 3. I prefer the emulsion because the 2 or 5% in squalene, I don't know if I'm a massive fan of squalene because it's very oily, and as I stated earlier when we were talking about hydrators and oils, for me, oils I'm a little bit on the fence about. So what is squalene for a start? Let's actually, tangent, but I'll just tell you what that is. So squalene is something that is kind of derived from lots of things, plants, animals, humans have it. It's something that's in your body, and I have to say as well that you should be careful when you're buying squalene because it can be sourced unethically, but none of The Ordinary stuff and nothing I use in squalene, I think, at all has ever been sourced unethically. But it's a naturally occurring, what do you call that? No, fats, polyunsaturated hydrocarbon. So it's something that is an emulsifier, it's something that keeps you hydrated, it is a moisturiser. That is what it does, and it's usually from things like olives and wheat germ, rice, stuff like that. You can get it from that, so you don't have to take it from animals. I know it's produced in human sebum as well, so humans have it naturally in their skin and it is very good for your skin. So The Ordinary have put their retinoids into squalene, or their retinols into squalene, so that they are in a catalyst, so to speak, a buffer, if you will, that will cause less irritation. Now, I have found no irritation using the 2% or 5% in emulsion or in squalene. My skin has been absolutely fine. Again, like the lactic acid, I do not use it every single night. I will use it every second night, maybe every third night. I have used it nightly, kind of a week at a time, but then I found, you know, you're using lactic acid, you're using the retinol, you're using maybe a vitamin C, and it's too much for your skin at once. So I don't use it every single night. I will use it 2 to 3 times weekly. If I am going to be going on holiday and I know I'm going to be somewhere where it's very, very sunny, I won't take it at all, because one of the most important things that you should know about acids and retinols is you have to wear sunscreen. With retinols especially, retinoids or retinols, you need to wear sunscreen. It makes your skin so much more susceptible to sun damage, sunburn and skin cancer. So you need to use SPF if you're using these products. You should be wearing SPF anyway. You know that song, everybody wears sunscreen? I used to laugh at that as a child, or as a young kind of teenager, but now I'm like, yep, everybody should definitely wear sunscreen. So that is the most important thing. If I'm going on holiday, then I won't take a retinol with me or a retinoid with me. I just won't do it. If I'm here in Scotland, then I will at least have on an SPF of 20 to 30 in my moisturisers during the day. And as you've probably seen from my favourites, currently an SPF of 50 in the Cetaphil. So that is so important if you're going to start using retinols or retinoids. Now I have just received the retinol, an actual retinol as opposed to the retinoid from the DPD man today, and the 0.5% in Squalane. They do 0.2, 0.5 and 1%, sorry. 0.2, 0.5 and 1%. All in Squalane. They do not come in emulsion. You cannot get anything stronger than 2% retinoid in the emulsion. Everything else comes in the Squalane. So that is because, again, it really helps being a really good buffer and moisturiser. Squalane is a natural lipid in the skin anyway. So that is why they put it in that. That does say on the Ordinary website though that the retinols, this is getting dead confusing. The retinols, the 0.2, the 0.5 and the 1% will cause irritation, and there is actually a really clear kind of list of how strong they are and what irritation things will cause. This is the first time I will ever have used a proper retinol, although not prescription strength, anything like that. So I'm going to ease this one in once mine's is finished and see how I like it. If I do see irritation starting to occur, then maybe I'll pull back on it. Maybe I'll go back to the retinoid. I just thought I would give it a bash. I thought I would try an actual retinol, even though also on the Ordinary website, when you're reading about the retinols, they actually say these products do this, this and this. We actually advise a retinoid. So they sell them, but they actually, you know, people have to understand the concerns, the side effects of using a retinol, and as long as you are clued up and you understand that, I think you're probably pretty safe to go ahead with it. And it's a woman who is 32, nearly 33, I thought it was time to start trying an actual retinol, and I'll keep you up to date on that one. But the retinoids I have never had any trouble with, and I really, really enjoy. Did I mention that they should only be used at night? I'm sure I did, but just in case. All these products, all these kind of retinols, nighttime use only. And generally what I would do is your waters and serums first. If you're going to put anything like that on, so like my lactic acid, I would possibly put on first, followed by the retinoid and Squalane. If I'm not going to use the lactic acid that night, then I'll maybe just put on some kind of moisturising booster, something like that, like Clinique Moisture Surge. Like, they're super defend, you know, they're stuff that they just, it's a nice hydrating thing, a serum-y type thing, and then the retinoid. And then they do say you can put on heavier moisturisers over the top, but I feel because Squalane is like an oil, I don't think it works. I just think that's usually the last thing I will put on if I'm using it that night. Alright, so cleansers. Seeing as we have rattled on about Squalane for so long, the only cleanser that the Ordinary have is a Squalane cleanser. Basically, it's Squalane based face cleanser and makeup remover. I've been using this about 2 weeks. I've not had this very long. I picked it up because I thought I want to be able to cover broadly all of the products, and although I have tried lots, this is one I hadn't. So what do I think about it? I think it's a nice basic cleanser. It is pretty inexpensive. I think it's like, oh, I'm going to put the prices in. You'll see how much it is. It's very clean. It leaves your skin feeling clean. It's one of those ones that comes out quite thick, almost like a balm, but it is squeezable. And you're supposed to emulsify and emulsify it in your hands until it becomes more like an oil, and then like apply it to your face. I would say it does do that. I feel that it's much more of a morning cleanser. It's something that I would use post shower in the morning. It doesn't remove makeup. That's the honest to God truth. Now, I don't wear a heck of a lot of makeup, but I would dread to think if there was anybody who wore a heavier face of makeup than I did, trying to move makeup with it. If you have experienced otherwise, then please let me know, because what am I doing wrong with it if that's the case? Whenever I have used it to remove makeup, I've had non-waterproof mascara on and maybe a liquid liner or just mascara, and it doesn't take it off. Like I need to go back in with a balm cleanser. I need to go back in with something heavier. So this would come under the likes of the CeraVe, the likes of Glossy Milky Jelly Cleanser. I think it's a nice skin cleanser. It doesn't remove makeup. That's the honest to God truth. And if you have experienced otherwise, then please comment below and let me know what the fuck I'm doing wrong with it. I should also probably mention that it's soap free, so it's suitable for all skin types as well, just so you know. Other molecules, which that's actually what they come under on the Ordinary website that they provide, are, I can't remember, there's like some alpha rebutin or something. I don't know what that is. I've never tried it, so I can't comment. But they also do niacinamide, and they also do the caffeine solution. Now, niacinamide is something that I've been using probably for the better part of a year. It wasn't one of the first things I picked up, because when I read on it, it sounded more like for someone who suffered from acne. So I didn't feel I needed it. Then I went on to pick it up because the more I read about niacinamide, it is something that is in a lot of skincare nowadays, and it is becoming the hyped thing as opposed to hyaluronic acid. Basically what niacinamide does is it's a vitamin B3. It stops blemishes and congestion, that is true, and it minimises the pores. But it actually says on the Ordinary website that this is not a treatment for acne. It will not resolve that. You may need to go to your doctor and get something stronger, something that you have to ingest to resolve that problem. But that is not what it's for. But it will tighten pores. It will kind of help with decongesting the skin. So in effect, it should stop you getting blemishes, because if your skin is nice and clean and that's tightening the pores to keep any dirt and grime getting into the pores, then you shouldn't really get so many spots. I use the 10%, I think they actually only do one version, the 10% with 1% zinc. And what I generally do, as I said earlier, coming out of the shower, doing all my bits and bobs, when I'm doing my peptides, like my matrixyl or my buffet, that will go in as well, and these can be mixed together. There's nothing to suggest that these can't be used at the same time. I will put a couple of drops in the matrixyl or the buffet, and then a couple of drops in niacinamide, and I just put it all over my face. It soaks in, it's fine, I don't have any problems with it, it doesn't ball up on the skin or anything like that. So therefore, you know, I like it. What can I say? Like, I think it's really good. As soon as I stopped using it, because as I say, I've been using it for about a year, and I want to say 3 to 4 months in, I thought, this is placebo, and I stopped using it, and boom, I got so many more blemishes than I already would. I have a blemish just now. It doesn't completely stop it happening, but this is a hormonal blemish. You know, that time of the month I get a spot on my chin. That's just what happens. I'm not entirely sure anything would ever stop that until I stop having hormones, which hopefully I'm a bit young for. The niacinamide can be used AM and PM, but I only use it in the morning. And again, because it's kind of more of the water-based type thing, you should use it before any other creams or oils. This is also one that is contraindicated with vitamin C. So you should not use it in the same regime as vitamin C. I will go on to vitamin C in a little minute, because that is also something that I use from the Ordinary. But I don't use vitamin C in the morning, I use vitamin C at night. So because I'm not using the niacinamide at night, it doesn't affect me, but it's something to remember. Now the caffeine solution I spoke about in my most recent favourite, so I don't think I have to go into too much explanation. I even done a little thing about it in IGTV recently. So this basically is supposed to help with puffiness and dark circles. There isn't a whole lot of like scientific claims behind this. It just says that caffeine should help with both of these things. It can be used AM or PM, and actually I really enjoy it. Even though there's not obvious scientific proof behind it, behind a lot of these things there isn't scientific proof. Let's face it, it's all theoretical. So I'm using it, it's inexpensive enough that I feel like if I feel it's not working anymore, I'll stop using it. It's not like it cost me 50 quid a bottle. It was very inexpensive. I really enjoy it. I feel it does help with puffiness and dark circles. I maybe don't so much have dark circles, but puffiness is something I definitely experience, and I really think it helps with that. With Jade Roller, spot on, love it. So the vitamin C, this is vitamin C, 23% and 2% hyaluronic acid, I think. Yeah, it's got hyaluronic acid spheres in it that are 2%. This is basically ascorbic acid, I believe. It's kind of, I don't know, is that a citrus? I really don't know. But basically this is an antioxidant kind of brightening step. Vitamin C basically helps against free radicals. Free radicals are pollution, sun damage, UVA, UVB, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that penetrates under your skin and causes age without you seeing this. Vitamin C should help against that. So if you do get a little bit of sun damage, you forgot to put your SPF on that day, put your vitamin C on at night, and hopefully that will reverse those signs. It will stop that happening. It will slow down the effect that pollution and sun damage causes. They're called free radicals. If you've ever heard somebody mention that, that's what they are. And vitamin C should help against that. Also helps to brighten the skin. I feel like if you put on the vitamin C the night or the day after you put it on, instantly your skin looks really nice and bright. I experienced that with the Kiehl's one as well. The Kiehl's one I think is 12.5%, so it's a little bit lower than this one. I have to say, this is very good. It's very inexpensive, it's a higher percentage, it does the job it's supposed to. The Kiehl's one is nicer though, and take of that what you will. It costs so much more money, so really value-wise this is better. But the Kiehl's one is a bit more luxurious. It's a nicer feeling on the skin. This is quite gritty. The Kiehl's one is slightly gritty, this is very gritty. You feel like you're getting a physical exfoliant with this one, but I like it, and it is definitely value for money, and it does what it says on the tin. So I will buy this again. I'll maybe ask for the Kiehl's one for Christmas because it's nicer and fancier, but this one I will continue to use at the moment. With all that said about the free radicals and all that kind of stuff, sounds like you're some sort of hippie, doesn't it? But with all that being said, the most important thing to stop damage like that is to wear SPF. SPF is the bottom line. Like, if you're gonna have a skincare regime, a cleanser, a moisturiser, SPF. That is all you need. That is the most important basics in your skincare. So although vitamin C is really, really good to reverse things, I really enjoy it, I like the brightening aspect of it, I would pick SPF over this because it is completely pointless having this if you're not wearing SPF, because you're going to get that damage. And yes, this will try to reverse it, but the best way to avoid it is SPF. Now there's another couple little bits and bobs, and I promise you we are nearly at the end of this video. Hopefully it's been really kind of informative though. I really hope, I know it's going to be a lengthy one, but I really hope that whoever watches it thinks, oh, I'm glad, because it's such a minefield. The ordinary products, it can be quite overwhelming when you look at them. So I hope that it's given some kind of, oh right, that makes things a little bit clearer. But I was going to talk about the moisturiser. It's just like a basic moisturiser they have. I will put a picture up here. I tried that the first time when I ordered from The Ordinary years ago. Didn't like it, wasn't for me. Very basic. It's cheap, which is fine, but it wasn't thick enough for me, it wasn't heavy enough for me. I didn't enjoy it, and I won't purchase again, and I haven't purchased again. I used it up, I think I used it up like as a hand cream or like on my arms and things like that. I don't think I actually used it up on my face, and I wouldn't buy it again if I'm honest with you. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is SPF. I've just spoke about SPF, but they also have SPF now. Took a long time for them to actually bring that SPF out, but it is there now, but currently out of stock. So I couldn't purchase that and let you know what I was thinking about it. I've not tried that, so I cannot comment on it, but I think it's wonderful that they now have an SPF range, considering the amount of stuff that they stock that really needs to be worn with an SPF. And finally, the colours range. The Serum Foundation and the Coverage Foundation. That was doing my nut in there. What can I say? These got so much hype when they came out. So much hype. I didn't like them. The Coverage one is too heavy. It's not nice and emollient the way that I don't mind a heavy coverage foundation as long as it's got lots of moisturiser in there. The It Cosmetics CC cream has got fairly good coverage, but it's almost tacky on the skin, which I know a lot of people wouldn't like, but I like it. I like that it leaves that moisture on my face all day long. I enjoy that. So the Coverage one was just too cakey. It was too cakey, it was too chalky. I didn't enjoy it. I also had the wrong colour, which doesn't help the matter, but the serum one I was really hoping would be like a serum with some tint to it. although I found that was very chalky again. Like I imagine that like in the bottle, if you left it standing up for any length of time, it would separate, and it would have like the way your blood goes, plasma on the top and then whatever on the bottom. The way oil and water goes, like I think it would separate. So you have to shake it up to get the pigmentation in the serum. And I have to be honest with you, I was not enamored with either of the two, and they got so much hype and so many people love them. So many people rant and rave about them, and so many people say it's still to this day, because they're so affordable, they're everyday go-to foundation and they wouldn't go to anything else. So I can't say they were a bad product, because given that so many people like them, I think it would really be down to your personal choice. Personally, I didn't fucking like them, and they're very affordable. So if you wanted to try it, you're not like 40 quid out of pocket for a very expensive foundation and then be like, this doesn't suit me. They're very, very affordable, and I have to give them that. The shade range is phenomenal. I have to give them that as well. But personally, no, it was a no from me, and I bought 3 of them because the first one I bought in the wrong colour. Went back to try the other 2, and no, not for me. So anyway, that's me finished. Hey! Thankfully, I really was starting to get a very dry mouth there, thinking the amount of things I was talking about. So as I said a minute ago, I really hope this was informative, it gave you a bit more knowledge about it all, and maybe you don't feel quite so overwhelmed about The Ordinary anymore. This will be a lengthy video. I really hope you got to the end, and if you did, please go and follow me over on Instagram. Like and subscribe below if you're enjoying the videos, and you can follow me on Twitter too. Everything will be linked below if you like, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you, bye.